Pleasure to welcome him here to share his work with helping people to start businesses in a solution-focused way. Round of applause, please, for Andrew Gibson.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. Now, I'd like to welcome you, because believe it or not, for the next couple of minutes, you are not actually part of this wonderful Soul Conference. You are here to help somebody. I have a client that I'm working with, and they need your input. And I'd like you all to spend a little bit of time, to be honest, exactly 1 minute, so that I can stick to the time allotted for this talk, helping them. They have a pet grooming business, and they need a business name. And what I'd like you to do, for 1 minute exactly, and please help me when I ask you to stop, please stop, is just in your tables for somebody to write down all the ideas you guys can come up with in 1 minute for a business name for a pet grooming company. Off you go.
I think you'll get 50 grand for
Okay, you have 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Okay, folks, thank you. That was a minute. That was a minute. Thank you very much. Okay, how many ideas did you come up with? Did any table come up with 5 ideas? Okay, 10 ideas. 20 ideas. Okay, so most of you came up with between 5 and 10 ideas, and there's 12 tables in the room. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. If we had time, I would of course get to shout out some of the funny ones, but that could actually be part of the cabaret later on. If you have any good ideas, please pass it to Peter. And all puns, of course, can be shared with Klaus as well, because he'll make really good use of them too. The whole idea of this is that we are here to help people start businesses through SF coaching. And one of the ways of doing that is, of course, to access resources. And if you're trying to help people start businesses in communities, isn't it wonderful if you can access the resources in the community? You guys are all a resource. One coach and one client thinking of names for their dog grooming business or their pet grooming business is not going to come up with 80, 90, 100 different names. And that's part of the process. And I just wanted you to taste it, because it's actually one of the fun parts of the project, is getting people together to help clients. It's based on BizFizz, which is something some of you may have heard of. BizFizz was started by the New Economic Foundation and the Civic Trust in 2001. They ran 34 projects across the UK, ranging from Hastings up to Port Glasgow. Ewan and I were both lucky enough to be BizFizz coaches. Ewan, give everybody a wave. And we are now working on these ourselves, trying to bring these projects to parts of the country that need them. So I'm going to tell you about these today. We've called it enterprise coaching, and the key to this is that we're focusing on areas of really high need. We're focusing on areas where there's high need for healthcare, high levels of welfare requirement, perhaps lots of people on unemployment benefit. We're looking at people who have very little. We're looking at people who are sometimes labelled hard to reach, but they're only hard to reach because we don't go about reaching them in the right way. And the way that we run these projects actually engages with lots of people in lots of communities with lots of success. The simple principles are: we work with anyone who needs a conversation. And in order to do that, coaches don't have targets. because targets change your perspective when you're working with someone. If you're a coach and you've got a target and you meet a client and you've got to open a new business by the end of this month and this guy's going to take months and months and months, you're going to find excuses to not work with them. So we have no targets so that that doesn't happen. We also have no marketing. We don't put posters up saying, come to our workshop. We just have coaches with business cards. And the coaches don't give advice. What you've just done is to give the coach advice that the coach can take back to the client. And then, of course, the coaching relationship is maintained. The coaches are community-based, and they're all embedded in the local community, and they spend their time networking in the community. They are trained in the GROW model and solutions-focused practice. The GROW model just gives them a simple structure that they can refer to as they develop their practice. The networking is just with the resources in the community, and they find people like you who will come together and support the project, but through the networking they also get referrals for clients. And they can be people who want to start businesses or people who have existing businesses that need some help. Having access to resources in the community means we can have a pure coaching conversation. The coaches never have to give advice because they can go to the community whenever advice is needed. And of course, if the coach has a good idea, they can just slide that into the advice that comes back from the community panel and take that back to the client. The client then gets to choose the advice that they want to act on, and the coaching relationship is maintained as a pure coaching relationship, which is a really special thing in the project. So, what are the results? Well, I've got some headlines for you. If you talk about new business survival rates, in the UK certainly, you often hear figures bandied about that, only 1 in 10 businesses survive after 12 months, etc., etc., etc. The survival rate typically after 12 months for businesses that have been helped with this model. And that's the BizFizz statistic. That's the statistic for the 34 projects that BizFizz ran. My own project, it was 90%, so it worked. I had the stats, I worked them all out, and hey, guess what? It was what they told me it would be. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. The first is in Bradford, and Bradford is a city in the north of England. It is neighbours with Leeds. It's about the same size as Leeds, but it was a heavily industrialised city, and as a result it has been deindustrialised in the 20th century, and it is struggling. It really struggles. It has a very wealthy neighbour in Leeds, which sucks a lot of the life out of Bradford. So this is a place where we work, because this is a place that needs our help. In Bradford, they ran a project called Kickstart, which was 10 full-time coaches, running from 2011 to 2014, a period of 2 years, 9 months, and it was ERDF funded. That's European Regional Development Fund. For the benefit of our visitors from outside Europe, Europe is a wonderful way of sharing resources across European countries, and the ERDF is a fund that funds structural projects across Europe. And Bradford Council have got some money. And these are the results. Our team of 10 coaches started 247 businesses. The survival rate, that's the measure across the 10 territories, and that depends obviously on really how closely the coaches were sticking to the coaching model. SME stands for small to medium enterprises, and it was an ERDF measure that they should have 12 hours of support to be counted. The jobs created and the jobs safeguarded are fairly obvious, and the increase in gross value added is the increase in turnover recorded by the businesses supported. So we contributed £750,000 worth of additional wealth to those communities through these projects. Second example, Trafford Housing Trust. Now Trafford's different from Bradford. Manchester is a very wealthy city. Trafford is a very wealthy district of Manchester. It has one of the higher property prices and so on, but Trafford Housing Trust is a housing association with 5 communities of social housing across the area, and they of course have lots of challenges. One of the challenges being that these are poor communities surrounded by wealthy communities. So, what did we do for these guys? Well, they ran the Give It the Go project. This is a world of wacky names. They had 4 part-time coaches, so these guys were just coaching in addition to their existing responsibilities, and they ran an 11-month pilot last year, from January to November. The good news for me though is that they had 45 clients engaged with the programme. We supported 33 of them with coaching sessions, and 7 of their clients started businesses, all of which are still training. HACT stands for the Housing Association Charitable Trust, and they have a recognised measure of social return on investment. And the wonderful thing for me with this project is that Jonathan, the project manager, produced a large-scale report, including a full social return on investment calculation. And they reckon for all activities measured, so all social, health and economic impacts, for every pound that Trafford Housing Trust invested in the project, they returned £7.62. And just on the economic activity, so the actual activity generated by the businesses they supported, it was £1.90 for every pound that they invested. So these are some genuine results. As Katie said this morning, talking about qualitative research, this is quantitative research. These are the results that you and I can now take to other like-minded bodies who might be interested in this type of project, and we can say, well, this is the difference we can make. And then they'll ask us how we do it. Okay, so the delivery structure, I better explain to you how this works now. First of all, you need somebody who's going to pay for it, which is harder and harder in this day and age, but local government or housing associations, regional development, charities could all get involved in funding, and of course they can all apply to funds that would support this type of activity. You need a host, so somebody who actually employs the coach, keeps costs down, or it could be somebody who's actually going to provide the staff as Trafford Housing Trust did. You need a local management group who are a committee from the local community who are going to help the coach get started. And then of course you need a coach, they need to be trained, and they get ongoing supervision as part of this as well. Because they're going to be dealing with some clients with very complex issues, as well as SF training. They're going to need some support during the course of the project as well. And then the coach, of course, through their networking, they build the panel. They invite the people who are enthusiastic to join them on the panel, coordinate the meetings, or seek information by email, or maybe direct phone call to somebody with specialist skills that a client's needing. Where's the solutions focused? It's hopefully obvious already, but we're actually looking at embedding solutions-focused practice in organisations through coaching, through the coaches finding resources, building the strengths of their clients. That first question, you'll notice that there's no mention of the age, the gender, the ethnicity of the client. As soon as you put context into the question, people then start second-guessing whether or not they think that client can start that business. And if I'd said that that client was 72 years old, some of you would have said, well, what's a 72-year-old doing wanting to start a business? If a 72-year-old wants to start a business, that's their concern. It's not up to us to put our context on and say, well, they should be doing something else. They should be in the Adelphi foyer waiting for the bus to take them back to It's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about building capability. And of course, cutting right through it is the fact that we've got a structure that maintains a pure coaching model at all stages. And one lovely little thing is that Trafford Housing Trust recruited for a project enabler, and the number one criterion of the job description was, this person must be trained in solutions-focused practice. Unfortunately, I haven't got a copy of that job description yet, but I'm working on it. And of course, the huge difference in the community is that the wealth that's created is created in the community and spent in the community. New businesses created in the community create new jobs. What do local people do? They tend to employ local people. They tend to employ the friends and family of local people, of their neighbours, of their friends. So the wealth is created at the bottom of the economic pile. And by spending it locally, it's spent with other local businesses, who then of course go on to create jobs. And who do they employ? They employ local people. You see where this is going? This is where the social return on investment is so massive for these projects. So, what's our goal? Well, there's just two of us at the moment, but we have one planet for now.
So far.
And you and I have set ourselves a little challenge. We would like to see an enterprise coach in every community that needs one by the year 2020. Okay? So that's our vision, and that's what we're trying to do. And thank you very much for listening to my presentation.